Hey guys, and welcome back to the Trekyards podcast. As always, I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Connor Cookins, and we have a guest. Please introduce yourself, and who the hell are you?
I'm Denis Brown. I'm a games journalist, and I'm glad to be here tonight.
And today we're going to be talking about the upcoming VR game, Star Trek Bridge Crew, I believe it's called.
It's for VR.
Look at that.
There you go. Oh, it's shiny, the ships.
So I've seen a lot of footage of this game online, a lot of gameplay and stuff, and it looks fantastically fun. But you've actually played the game and such, so...
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Yes, we're just ignoring you. It's okay, Samuel.
I was in VR. I'm sorry. I'm excited. It looks so cool.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got to play and, you know, a little bit about the game?
Well, since it's my job to review games, I got an invitation from Ubisoft, and they invited me to see the game here in Berlin. And I went there, and I just expected the next, you know, typical VR game, you know, where you get something, you know, quite visual. The usual VR game is a very visual experience where you get like to turn upside down, or you get special effects blowing at your head and stuff like that. But what I got there was a very, very fascinating game, a social experience, where you play with 3 other guys, and you're on the bridge of the starship Aegis. And we played that for 2 hours, did like 2 missions, and I was totally captured by it.
And just go back one step. VR is virtual reality, for those who don't know, and it's you basically put on a headset like this, but much better, and it puts two different screens, or one screen, but it splits into 2 in front of your eyes. Each represents a slightly different image. It gives you left and right, makes it feel 3D, and because you're completely immersed, and because just like your phone, it can track, you know, where it is in space, you can then move around, look around. So it's creating a virtual world inside, in essence, your eyes, and then you sort of play with controllers, which you have, Denis. You use the world, you interact, because you haven't got real hands, so you're going to interact with something else, and you get to play a video game, but you actually get to see it. It's a great concept. It's not there yet, but certainly is more mainstream now. So this is the first big Trek experience. I mean, there's fans that have put VR support in their fan games, which is amazing. This is their first fully built VR experience.
Yeah, the nice thing about this here is that you don't have to be afraid of motion sickness. You know, most VR games will put you somewhere where you walk through a corridor or somewhat, or you fly somewhere, and because your body is still on one point and your brain is actually being messed with, you get motion sick. Which means that your brain thinks that you were poisoned because it doesn't feel the movement that you see. And this doesn't happen here because you're sitting in one chair, depending on which position you take. I was a captain when we played, and I took the role as the helmsman for a short time as well. And you just sit there on your chair, and you have like visual screens, you know, like holo screens on each side, and a few buttons that you can press, and that's all you do. You actually interact with the others by talking to them, which happens through the internet. Actually, you play with 3 people, and you play online, and you talk through your headset, and then your avatar will speak as well. And so you talk to being the captain, you talk to the helmsman and say, hey, plot a course for that nebula. And he will look at his screen and push a few buttons, and he will look up where is that nebula and how do we get there, and push a few buttons as well. And then he will steer the whole ship. And then I'll say, engage. And off we go. And that's actually, it's such an awesome experience because everyone has to fill his role. I, as a captain, I know what to do. I know what our mission is in every detail, and I have like all kinds of stats about the ship, like are the shields up, are the weapons up, you know, stuff like that. But I can't control them. If I want the ship to have a certain condition, I will have to tell my crew what to do. And it's a really great social experience. And since you also see that through your headset, and your head movement is absolutely real, and you really feel like being on the bridge, you are so immersed into this thing that I think after 30 minutes, I totally forgot that I'm like playing a game.
Wow.
It really is that way because the interaction between the people is so fluid, and everyone sees to his position, sees what he has to do, that it's like cogs working together. And that's something I find really great, because most VR experience are really something very visual for one guy alone, for you and yourself, sitting in front of your PC. And Star Trek Bridge Crew is the very first game I ever experienced in VR, where I play with other people and really play together with them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know that there's also not only the JJ verse, but there's the TOS thing as well. Did you try that one? Did you try the TOS bridge? Now, were you captain in that one as well?
I was the helmsman.
Okay, because what I've heard is that if you're the captain, to have a little more interaction and have more to do, the JJ universe is the better one. There's not as much to do in the TOS version for the captain. I don't know if
it's not quite true. Actually, I got to see what was to do there, and it's about the same. The point is that the TOS missions are for advanced players, because that's the funny stuff about it. The bridge was really remade one by one, just like you have it in the TV show, and it doesn't make sense. Actually, that's the point. You have, like, when you're the helmsman, you have like a bunch of buttons there, and there's no description. There's nothing.
Well, there are reasons for that, in canon. It makes sense.
Of course, yeah, but they actually had to make up a type of function, how you use that. You can press a button on your controller that control your arms, and then you will get like a highlighted description which button does. Yeah, but it is not like with a modern system where you have, like, on a in a modern ship, everything would make a certain kind of logic. You would have like arrows and stuff like that for the movement, and you would have like big buttons for your map. And here everything has the same size and just a different color. And you actually also have to look to the side to get a map view, so you can align the ship in order to get into the right course for warp and stuff like that. So it isn't all making sense from a ship's point of view, but it's making lots of fun, and that's the point, because you're in Star Trek.
So did you enjoy the JJ verse one more or the TOS one more?
Actually, equally. Each spaceship you see there has its own thing, has its own advantage. The one in the JJ prize is, of course, very modern. You have a great view being the captain on everything. If you just take a look around, everything's nice without being like an Apple Store. That's what I really liked about the layout. It doesn't go the Apple Store way that the movie does.
Yeah, we have some thoughts about this ship individually, which we can mention probably somewhere in here, but I continue.
Yeah, what I really like about the whole design here is that they seem to... I think they made up their mind, what can we improve in the JJ verse. It starts with the size of the ship and with the layout of the ship, because the Aegis very much looks like the Enterprise, but has like...
But better.
But better, exactly. The nacelles are lowered, and the shape is kind of... How can I say it? It's thinner. It isn't that bulky, and I really like it, especially since it's not that big. If we go by canon, the JJ prize is supposed to be as big as the Enterprise D.
Bigger than the E.
And even bigger,
Bigger than the E. Yeah.
I never bought that.
No one should.
And the Aegis is about the size, maybe a little bigger, but about the size as the TOS Enterprise. And it makes sense. It's great to look at.
You mean they used a scale chart to work out scale?
I'm not quite sure.
Wow, that's weird. That's unheard of. Wow, they've treading new ground here, guys. Scaling.
But I really think they try to improve some things that the JJ verse messed up. And a lot of people are going to love this. I know that a lot of people, especially Star Trek fans, are going to buy VR headsets because of this game. Even if it seems kind of unlikely now, Maybe they try it at some friend's place, and half an hour later, they're done. They're bought.
That's the thing about VR. It's the selling point is once you play it, because suddenly you're really in the world. I've only, apart from this, cheap and cheerful thing that my grandmother got me, ironically, I played it once at a convention, and it was a proper headset, and there's this dinosaur coming towards us, and it was very interesting. You look around at everything, you try and take in the environment, but suddenly you're in this environment that, for the most part, even though it's a JJ-verse, it's familiar. You understand the concept of what's happening. The TOS, having me and Stuart gone to the TOS sets a couple of times, that is very familiar. I mean, we could sit down in the chair and be like, yep, everything, yep, I'm literally at home right now. And especially Trek fans who have a sense of home within environments anyway, you put that in with VR, I mean, people could get lost in it. And then, as I've said to you off camera, Dennis, I think that this is, I mean, well, I guess the gaming podcast this one is, but, Assassin's Creed, the first game is good, the second game improves on everything, but the base game is there. So hopefully this game is the first version. It shows the basics are there with the newest and then the oldest in unison, and then the second iteration or in mods or in DLC, they add on every other bridge. You could say walk around. I mean, this game hopefully the sales, hopefully with the enthusiasm, if they make just a good quality game, you can add everything and anything to this. I mean, wouldn't you and Stuart and Dennis want to walk around a Klingon Bird of Prey bridge just for the sake of it? You could get maybe just half hour of enjoyment out of that. But boy, a week later, think, you know what? I want to try that again, but bring Stuart in and we'll because again, it's VR. You can do whatever the hell you want. I mean, it's very flexible, and suddenly you open this massive door. The Trek world has 50 years worth of continuity. And I said this again to Stuart Dennis. I would love to walk around a Nebula class, a Prometheus class, an Equinox class, even sub-variants. Why the hell not? All the shuttles, I mean, everything. It'd be great. And this game...
That's what I wished for.
Yeah. But
when I talked to the devs, when I talked to the devs, the first thing that I said is I want to have the motion picture Enterprise from the very first movie with a dark environment, on the bridge, because this is like the most beautiful bridge in my opinion. I even like it more than the latter, from Wrath of Khan and stuff, because there's a certain mood to it. And I said, get this as a DLC. I will buy it definitely. And I also hope that someday, it doesn't matter if in a successor or in DLC or whatever, they will get ground missions in, because that's what is missing. You have a lot to do. I mean, there's lots of variety you can have in when you're playing on the bridge, and they actually made sure that there's lots of things to do, because there's there's a baseline of missions with set missions, and there's also a continuous mission. That's what it's called. And where you have like dynamic things to do. Like you have a start, which is always the same, but from that start on, it depends on what you do, and the story will always have variations. So it never gets really boring, just from the point that you always play the same mission, but you always have dynamic missions. That's okay, but after all, there's only so much you can do on the bridge, and that's why what I wish for is having ground missions, going on a planet, looking for something. It doesn't have to be much, actually. I don't need to explore a whole planet or whatever. Maybe just have a few minor puzzles where I talk with people, where I do negotiations or stuff like that. And maybe get in touch with a Klingon and pull a phaser or whatever. Just a quick thing that gets me off the bridge.
A Klingon colony, a Vulcan temple. I mean, there's infinite things we've seen and then not seen.
Exactly.
Why not? Or even just walk through the corridors. I mean, how many episodes in Star Trek Legacy are literally bottle shows, which is when everything takes place aboard a ship? If you rebuild, I mean, VR, there's an advantage of VR, the relatively low resolution of all the of the sets. You can actually get away with a lot in terms of lack of modelling and such. So building sets is a lot quicker because there's a lot less detail needed. But if you do, if there's story, you can do an entire hour story campaign mission just inside, say, the Voyager, where you just have to go through different bits and do different things. I mean, to walk through Voyager and have a purpose and have some voiceover and that. I mean, it's not the most tremendously difficult thing to do in the world, especially if you've got a game team behind it, proper team. And when Star Trek fans, I mean, imagine every week they release a new episode. And it's 40 minutes of thing. The set's already built in 3D. You just have to pay someone to do voiceover. Everything else is just utilizing. Okay, this warp core, you can do these 20 things with it or escape. But all these things have function, and then you want to pay another $20 in every week to do the new TNG mission or the new Voyager mission or the new, and people would pay, their life savings to get this fix.
It's true. It's true.
We haven't talked what's possible in this game yet. I said that there's 4 positions. I might tell you more about that now. It's a captain, it's the helmsman, it's the tactical officer, and it's the engineer. And of course, the tactical officer uses weapons, raises shields, and stuff like that. And the helmsman, of course, he steers the ship. He plots courses, stuff like that. And the engineer actually has I would say the most important part aside from the captain, because he has to swap all energy between the systems, because you can move very fast, but then you have no energy for your weapon system. If you want energy on the weapon system, you have to pull it from the engines. And if you want to go to warp, actually you have to load up the warp coils. It takes a few seconds, and this is something that the engineer has to do. Otherwise he can't do that. So but still, you're just moving. Actually, you're moving your fingers on touch screens. And what you could do, being in the sick bay, is seeing the same kinds of hands with your controllers, like this one on the PlayStation 4. It's going to be these, and all you just do is move them this way, and then you press the buttons here, and this makes your fingers stick out. Yeah, and you could, of course, take some kind of tool and fiddle around on somebody's body. I mean, that would be kind of the surgeon simulator. Mm-hmm. But I can imagine lots of things that you can do with your hands in another place on the ship. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I want to take another step back, though. I mean, this game has been announced for a while now. But Stuart, when was the first time you heard about this, and what was your thought? And then we'll sort of end that on what do you think now you've heard everything that Denis has said about the actual game.
The first I heard of it was probably a year ago or so. I saw a picture of the ship, and I thought, wow, that's a nice looking...
I think I sent that to you.
Yeah, we talked about it. We were going to do an episode on it at some point, but we wanted to learn more about it. But yeah, I saw the ship, and I thought it was going to take place in the Kelvin timeline, and I was kind of like, that's cool. Maybe eventually they'll have a DLC or something for other eras. And then for the 50th, they announced that they were doing the TOS bridge, and I saw some screenshots of it, and I was like... And then about a month ago, maybe, I saw some online footage on YouTube, some gameplay footage and stuff, and I really was impressed with what I saw. It's really something that I personally have always wanted as a Star Trek fan, especially the TOS bridge. So, yeah, From when I first announced, I was kind of underwhelmed. I was like, okay, cool. But now that I've seen it and learned a lot more about it, I need to spend $1,000 and get myself a PlayStation and the VR set and everything.
You don't have to. Actually, the cheapest way is getting a PlayStation and the VR headset, and you will be... If you don't have anything of that and you buy everything from scratch, it will be still $900, okay, or €900. Mm-hmm. But it's still cheaper than buying the PC version. I mean, you need a very strong PC, and if you use a PlayStation, then you pay depends on which version you have, $300 to $400 for the system, and another $500 for the headset with the controllers.
My question is, how is the single-player game? How is the AI for playing with single players?
Yes, and is there story? Is there
the chance of having a couple of friends that have the same system that you can play with against is just ridiculous.
Same interest, same money, same kit, same time, same. It's not how practical. Yeah, single player.
You really got a point there, because I have to add that you should play this game with a bunch of friends. Yeah. You can play it with some strangers, okay, but you will never have the same feeling with the same respect for each other that each one has to have on each position in order. You're taking orders from me as a captain, and that somebody might say, I don't want to do that, I don't think it's the right thing to do, and blah, and I'm going to rage quit because of
the airlock. Terrible.
That's why I say play it with friends. But concerning the single-player mission, you actually do everything yourself. You can... You take the captain's place, and then you have a special button, and if you point at some of your crew, then you get special options like follow that ship or follow the trail, beam them up. you do actually the same thing as you do with in multiplayer, but you don't say it. You just pick options. But you can, at the same time, you can change over to that position and do it all yourself.
That's cool.
So if you want to be the engineer for 2 seconds, just do it.
See, that sounds fun. Then you get more of a variety. I mean, it's cool to be the captain and be in the chair and be looking around and telling people what to do and stuff. But to actually go to each console, I mean, that might be kind of fun as well. So I just don't know how well the AI how quick it would be to respond, and you know.
The whole point in this game will, according to the devs, the whole point of this game will be doing things quickly, deciding quickly, because the more difficult the missions get, the less time you have to make your decisions, to make up your mind and do the right thing. Because your enemies are going to get quicker, you're going to have more enemies, you're going to have more like distortions in space and stuff like that, and you won't have time to argue a lot. So I guess that playing single player missions and getting used to what every station has to do will be of an advantage for the captain, like in real life. You know, a captain isn't captain from the first day on, except if you're in the JJ verse.
Nice.
But you know, you have your career, and you get to know some things of the ship. You know, how the engines work or how tactical works and stuff like that, and that makes you decide differently than just go there, do this. You know, in fact, you know every inch of the ship, and that's why I say play the single player missions first, or at least some of them, so you know what each station can do, and then you're the best captain there is.
Now, speaking of missions, real quick, I just want to get a kind of a brief description of 1 or 2 missions, so we know what kind of to expect.
Oh, we also actually the first mission was very easy. We just had to explore a nebula, and there was a Starfleet ship and there was a civilian ship, which both had their problems, and I had to decide which one to go for first. And I went to the civilian ship first, and there you had to get into their system and disrupt their engines once, so they could restart it, because they were in a circular malfunction, so they couldn't restart their engines by themselves. So you had to do that. And after that, we got to this other ship, and we had to beam everyone aboard because it couldn't be saved. And right after that, actually, we got to get to the Kobayashi Maru.
Did you win?
No, of course I didn't. And actually, you know, they knew that some Star Trek fans would be there, and we laughed our asses off because the moment I saw, you know, the message coming in from the Kobayashi Maru, and I remember, of course, from the movies what they say, and it's the exact same words. That's said, "Oh dear, I know how this is going to end," and everybody started laughing. But of course, it has little changes to it. So you always get a little surprise. So it's not exactly the way it works in the movie, like in Star Trek 2 or even the new Star Trek. Of course, it's the same outcome. You know, you can't win this mission, but there's different things you can do in between and different decisions you have to do in between. That's cool. And actually, I did better than how's she called? I always forget her name. The Vulcan officer you see and stuff. Savick. I did better than Savick. At least I saved 6 people.
Well, I'll throw in one more thing before I guess do my first thought and my closing thought. Having watched your gameplay that you very graciously sent us for your 2 hours of playing it, I love the fact that this is the JJ verse, but the game design actually cared enough that the Kobayashi Maru you're actually fighting a D5. A D5 film battlecruiser from Enterprise, so it's not a JJ verse one. It's obviously an old ship, but they could have picked anything to design a new one. Nope, it's a D5. I don't see it very up close, but you can tell it's a D5. So I was like, good job, guys. You cared about continuity a little bit, even though it's really, really, really old. Yeah, I first saw this thing as an E3 reveal, and like Stuart said, it was a JJ in that straight away. I'm thinking, okay, well, you've just isolated or alienated 3/4 of the audience. Which, you know, their choice, you know, fine. I mean, at least JJ Peel more likely to be younger, so it means they're more likely to buy it, but you've alienated But then I saw the ship and I was like, ooh, it's a JJ game, but they actually have made a good choice here. They've done a ship which balances out everything that was wrong, and they're not just doing the same old tact of it's the Enterprise. It's something different. So that was straight away. I had some extra respect, and we've been thinking about this for a while, Stuart. But now, thanks to some Denis shots, we'll do the full episode, which is exciting. And then, literally, like 2 weeks ago, they announced or something the TOS bridge was going to be in it or something. And I was like, hey, good job, guys. And in fact, James Corley posted today of filming this that he helped them work out the set details. They came to the set and they took pictures based off his set, which obviously we've been to. So that's a nice little. They based off where we physically were, so that was nice.
They actually worked with the guy who made all the panels, from the TV show. They worked together with them in order to make it as real as possible. Actually, so that's why you get this real feeling. Mm-hmm. When I first sat in the TOS Enterprise, it overwhelmed me because I sat there and I said, like, this is so real. I mean, of course, it's computer graphics. It will never look like photorealistic real, but it's so close and in the size and how everything looks and how everything feels that I say, like, real Trekkies, real Trekkers, whatever you call them, they will love this game to death for that alone. Yeah, and if Ubisoft makes the right choices, makes the right DLCs, gets the right missions in, I say this game may last for a century.
Same as Bridge Commander, absolutely. That lasted 7, 8 years just because of its flexibility. Absolutely.
Of course, you have to say this game now is a starting point. It can't be perfect as of now. First of all, VR isn't that popular yet, so there's a high chance that they put a lot of money in that and it doesn't sell. And that's why they had to make sure they meet a certain quality first, which is why they don't do too much. They got a certain, let's say, a basic point they want to deliver, and what they deliver there is excellent, with an exclamation mark. I really love it.
Now I want to say one little joke on the TOS bridge. You said you sat down and you had the experience. Obviously, we've done that ourselves, but the bridge wasn't 360. The sound effects weren't perfect. The lighting wasn't exactly, and they weren't people in uniform. So you actually got a better first experience, because you felt like you were on the real bridge. We were on the real set. It's not the real bridge, and you can tell the difference. So you got an even better experience almost. Obviously, you couldn't physically touch things, but
it's even with everything. They made it so close that every button that you press will come from the right direction in your ears. Every sound effect will come from the right direction. If the captain speaks to you, it will you will have the feeling that he's behind you, and he speaks to you from behind. So everything is made to be VR perfect, and that's what they wanted to deliver. And I can tell you, they really met that, and that's what makes this game so special, because it's not a visual experience, it's not some effect game. It's a game where you really feel that you are where you're supposed to be there, and that's something to achieve. I made VR experiences myself. I'm not a big game developer or whatever. I'm a hobby developer, but I made VR experiences myself. And you can do easy things, so like put a sound source here and have it work there and whatever. But that doesn't make it real. If you want to make something feel real, then you have to work with volume, with where it comes from, how the sound reflects from the walls, everything. And they hit the mark so perfectly that I really felt like being there. And I can only say, if you're a real fan, scratch the money together, no matter how you do it, support this game, because I want to play more of this, and I hope that you want to play more of this too.
I don't think we can summarize that better, Stuart. So I think that
I was just going to say on that note.
Yeah, that's it. There you go.
I think we'll call this an episode. First of all, thank you, Denis, for joining us and telling us all about your great experience.
And bring us the footage. Thank you. Very exclusive stuff there.
Yeah, there's extra stuff from the Aegis. I hope you make an extra episode of the Aegis.
We want to.
I took some extra footage from that so you can analyze it bit by bit. I'm looking forward to that.
Well.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us and sharing your footage and your experience. I'm really looking forward to playing this myself. I don't know if I'll ever get a chance, but I'll try. Samuel,
well, hey,
maybe
Ubisoft invite us. I mean, we'll we are Star Trek guys.
We three might be a team one day. I don't know. We might make a crew, a good crew.
TOS had a Russian and a Chinese guy, so there we go. I can be the English, the German, the Canadian. All we need is who else? There you go. We got the TOS of the future.
There you go.
That's the point, exactly. I would look forward to be in service of Captain Foley.
That's how
somebody does.
Stuart, take that as the closer, because I think you're a bit better than that.
Anyway, guys, thank you for being part of our crew as well. Please hit the like button, and hope you enjoyed this episode, and hopefully you guys will be picking up the game.
Yeah.
So until next time, everybody, I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Connor Coons.
See ya.